The funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Friends of 4, 10, and 12.
Good evening and happy Thanksgiving. Most Americans are, of course, using this most American of holidays to give thanks and in one way or another to celebrate. Tonight we offer a rare glimpse of a celebration of another kind that takes place every year halfway around the world. It is the Muslim pilgrimage to Mecca. 2 million people gathering in the largest gathering on the face of the earth. The special documentary report we broadcast tonight was prepared by public television station KOCE in Huntington Beach, California, and it's called Pilgrimage to Mecca.
Nowhere else in the world do so many people come to a single place, at a single time, for a single purpose. The purpose is the Hajj, the annual holy pilgrimage to Mecca. Here, in western Saudi Arabia, stands the Kaaba, the most revered symbol of Islam, a simple stone cube thought to be the first temple of God. It is here that more than 2 million Muslims from every corner of the earth will come to fulfill a most sacred obligation to Allah. It is a pilgrimage which non-Muslims are not permitted to attend, and one that has only recently been allowed to be filmed. During the next half hour, you will be witness to an extraordinary religious experience, unlike any other in the world. The pilgrims come as equals. The Islam religion has no priesthood. Rich or poor, Arab or African or Asian, the men traditionally dress the same, with 2 seamless pieces of white cloth. The Arabic word for it is ihram. It also signifies the sacred state of spirit they are entering, as they undertake to follow the footsteps of the Prophet Muhammad, footsteps nearly 14 centuries old. Muslim women, too, make the pilgrimage, wearing a modified ihram with their heads covered. During the 5 days of the pilgrimage, the men and women alike are bound to avoid obscenity, sex, and quarrels. They must not cut their nails, nor shave, nor kill any living thing, except the one sacrifice each will make to Allah. These next days must be totally devoted to God. The pilgrims are well aware that the name of their faith, Islam, literally means surrender, submitting one's entire self to Allah. The city of Jeddah is not part of the Holy Territory, but it is the gateway to it for pilgrims arriving from afar. Jeddah lies on the Red Sea, about 45 miles west of Mecca, and is Saudi Arabia's largest port, a bustling city of 750,000. Its airport was built in 1950, later expanded, and recently entirely rebuilt, mainly to accommodate the swelling numbers of pilgrims every year. The port of Jeddah can handle another 100,000 or more pilgrims. In fact, during the days before the pilgrimage, enough pilgrims will arrive from foreign lands to more than double Jeddah's population. Here in Jeddah, the pilgrims see the first evidence of all the organizational effort put into the pilgrimage by the government of Saudi Arabia. It is modern planning, after all, that allows such a huge number of pilgrims to perform an ancient rite. A government agency appoints guides to lead groups of pilgrims through the stations of the Hajj. They arrange for every service, from transportation and sleeping tents to ensuring that each pilgrim performs the rites correctly. Separation of church and state is a Western notion. Among Muslims, Islam is a complete way of life, has been since the time of Muhammad, and it is the Saudi kingdom's honor and duty to oversee the pilgrimage. The government, for example, built the apartments that comprise the pilgrim city in Jeddah, where the travelers stay until all is ready for the 45-mile ride to Mecca. Rulers of the Holy Territory traditionally have required each pilgrim to pay a fee which covered his basic expenses. Once a considerable source of income, it is only a token nowadays, now that the kingdom has oil wealth to pay most of the expense of conducting the pilgrimage and maintaining the Holy Territory. For the incredible number of people amassing, there is a surprisingly great amount of patience and cooperation. Everyone, after all, is waiting for the same thing, the buses that will finally take them to Mecca and the start of the Hajj. It is a hectic time in Jeddah, these first days of the Islamic month of Zul Hijjah, the month of the pilgrimage, as almost 100,000 vehicles, all traveling in the same direction, leave the city. In the sacred book of the Quran, it is written that the pilgrimage should be experienced only by Muslims. Near the border to the Holy Territory, passports are checked. Each pilgrim must be able to prove that he is a Muslim to obtain the special pilgrim's visa. One must be Muslim just to see the holy places in person. The only known exception occurred in 1853 when the British adventurer Sir Richard Burton joined the pilgrimage disguised as an Arab. He later wrote of the experience. A century later, modern road signs and an off-ramp warn the modern traveler that he is approaching the border of the Holy Territory. There are still 14 miles to Mecca. There is little doubt the pilgrimage could ever include so many people without the efforts of the Saudi Arabian government, putting roads where once were camel trails, and providing the transport, not to mention all the manpower assigned to the pilgrimage. Fewer than 100,000 pilgrims annually made the Hajj before motor transport was established in 1926 by the founder of the modern Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, Abdul Aziz Al Saud. King Abdul Aziz led a religious reformation, placing strong emphasis on the pilgrimage, a theme carried forward by his successors, son Saud, Faisal, Khalid, and the current king, Fahd. Mecca, the holy city of Islam. It is here that Muhammad was born, here that he received his first revelation, and here that can be found the Muslim's ultimate symbol of one God. Upon arrival in Mecca, the pilgrims proceed immediately to the Great Mosque. 2 million people, all with the same destination. Inside the mosque, a pinnacle of Islamic art and architecture. Prohibited from depicting human or animal figures in religious art, Muslim artists created rich abstract patterns, arabesques, to cover domes and arches. In the center of this elaborate ornamentation stands a simple stone cube 50 feet high and empty inside. It is the very goal of the pilgrimage, the Kaaba, believed to be the first temple of God. The Kaaba is the focal point of the Islamic faith for its estimated 750 million followers around the world, nearly a fourth of the world's population. 5 times a day, wherever they may be, they pray to Allah facing the direction of the Kaaba to symbolize their unity before their Creator. And at least once in a lifetime, those who are able come to it. Before approaching the Kaaba, the pilgrims stop to wash themselves, the ablution required before prayer. The ablution at Mecca is special, for the water is piped in from the well of Zamzam, where it is believed that Hagar, the wife of the first prophet Abraham, quenched her thirst. The Quran teaches that the original Kaaba was built by Islam's first prophet, Abraham, and his son Ishmael. It is the same Abraham of the Old Testament, and it is this patriarch's belief in one God that links Islam's roots to Judaism and Christianity. Inside the courtyard of the Great Mosque, the pilgrims immediately circle the Kaaba 7 times in a ritual known as the Tawaf. They do it because Muhammad did it, who was himself echoing the act of Abraham. It is one of the many prescribed rituals to be performed at specified times and specified places during the pilgrimage. Always covering the Kaaba is the kiswa, a black cloth embroidered in gold with verses from the Quran. This holy book, revealed to Muhammad, commands every Muslim to make the pilgrimage, provided that he is physically, mentally, and financially able to do so. In the Quran, it is stated, "The pilgrimage to the Kaaba is a service due to God from those who are able. And as for him who is able and believeth not, God can afford to dispense with such creatures." The station of Abraham, the glass cage, contains the stone on which it is believed Abraham stood to complete the first Kaaba, which has been rebuilt over the millennia. In the centuries before Muhammad's time, the Kaaba became filled with pagan idols. When Muhammad returned from Medina to Mecca in victory, he cast out all the idols, more than 300 of them. From then on, the area of the Kaaba and the pilgrimage were forbidden to the infidels. Pilgrims acknowledge the Kaaba on each of their 7 trips around it, declaring, "In the name of Allah, the Most Great." Commemorating the hardship suffered by Abraham's wife Hagar, Muhammad walked and ran between the hills of Al-Safa and Al-Marwa, and so the pilgrims do likewise. All told, it is a trip of about 1.5 miles down an air-conditioned walkway that was built by the Saudi Arabian government when it expanded the Great Mosque in 1955. For the handicapped, a special wheelchair corridor is reserved down the middle. It is along this pathway that Muslims believe Hagar and her son Ishmael first ran in search of water, nearly dying of thirst before they found the well of Zamzam, miraculously opened for them by the angel Gabriel. Muhammad was not only a religious leader, but a leader of a nation. Today in Saudi Arabia, religion and state are inseparable, and the king is still the guardian of the Kaaba. Traditionally, every year during the pilgrimage, the king, the royal family, and other dignitaries enter the Kaaba. They find a totally empty room, devoid of any distraction, and that is its virtue. During this time, the inside of the Kaaba is washed with water from the well of Zamzam, and to be splashed with this water is considered a privilege. Outside the Kaaba, the royal family, like all pilgrims, do as Muhammad did and kiss the black stone, believed to date back to the original Kaaba built by Abraham. Muhammad made it very clear, though, the stone is not an idol. Muhammad taught, there is no God but God. God is most great. The premise that is the heart of Islam. Five times a day, throughout the Muslim world, the faithful are called to prayer with the cry, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. Daily prayer and the pilgrimage are two of the 5 pillars of Islam. And to actually pray in the great mosque of Mecca, not just to face its direction, this must be a pilgrim's dream. Noon prayers in the great mosque at the time of the pilgrimage. People elbow to elbow in an area large enough to hold 10 football fields, and still there is not enough room for all the pilgrims. Inside the courtyard, there are perhaps 500,000, as many people as you'd find in the entire city of Seattle. The rest pray outside. The completion of rites at Mecca does not signal the end of the pilgrimage. Far from it. 3 other stations await the pilgrims. Their next destination is the plain of Arafat, 10 miles away. Before returning to Mecca, they will go to Muzdalifa and Mina. At each stop, they will perform prescribed rites and rituals, all important to the completion of the Hajj. Following in the footsteps of Muhammad, the pilgrims must arrive at Arafat on the 9th day of the month of Zul Hijjah, or all the other rites will be nullified. There is no time to lose. They get there any way they can, riding in the luggage racks when there are no more seats inside. The officers expediting traffic are among the 20,000 policemen, National Guardsmen, medics, and others assigned by the government to the pilgrimage. Although the pilgrims will only stay for the day at Arafat, Guides have set up tents in advance to give some protection from the fierce desert sun. Television cameras transmit coverage to dozens of nations, allowing the modern world to witness an ancient but alive rite. Arafat has the Mosque of Mina, and it is huge, but like the great Mosque of Mecca, large enough to accommodate only a portion of the 2 million pilgrims. Here at Arafat, on the Mount of Mercy, Muhammad gave his farewell sermon only a few months before he died. And so it is here that the pilgrims come to stand before God, asking for mercy and forgiveness. For each pilgrim, the standing before God is the single most important time of his journey, the spiritual culmination and cornerstone of the pilgrimage. As it is written in the Quran, "Mankind, we created you from a single pair of a male and a female, and made you into nations and tribes, that ye may know each other. Verily, the most honored of you in the sight of God is the most righteous of you, and God is well acquainted with all things." The Prophet Muhammad left Arafat before nightfall. And so the pilgrims strike camp. The entire group, 2 million strong, travel onward together through the gathering darkness. They stop at Muzdalifa, where each collects exactly 49 stones, to be used later in one of the last rites of the pilgrimage. Mina, a small town transformed into a giant tent city, will be the pilgrims' home for the next 3 days and nights. The stay at Mina commemorates a story of symbolic importance not only to Muslims, but to Jews and Christians as well. It is the story of God telling Abraham to sacrifice his son, tempting him, and then finally sending an angel to intercede at the last moment, providing a ram instead for the sacrifice. Muslims believe this happened here at Mina, not at Jerusalem, and that the son was Ishmael, not Isaac, as recounted in the book of Genesis. On vast and modern walkways in Mina, the pilgrims make use of the stones they picked up at Muzdalifa. Each day for 3 days, they cast a specified number of stones at one of 3 pillars built on the sites where it is believed Satan tried to tempt Abraham not to obey God's command. Renouncing evil, the pilgrims repeat, "God is most great." The ceremony has become known as the stoning of the Satans. The Eid-ul-Adha, the Feast of Abraham, is celebrated at the end of the first day at Mina. During the feast, the royal family holds a reception to greet the heads of pilgrimage delegations and other leaders of the Muslim world. Traditionally, on this night, every pilgrim at Mina as well as the head of every Muslim household throughout the world, do as Abraham did and sacrifice an animal to God. They will eat half and give the rest to the poor. After the ceremony, the pilgrim will clip his hair and leave the sacred state of Ihram. At Mina, as along almost every step of the way, the pilgrim's progress has been followed by closed-circuit cameras. The Hajj is nearing its end, but in such a mass of humanity, dozens of emergencies still occur daily, and the cameras help authorities find them and respond. At one point during the stay in Mina, each pilgrim must return to Mecca for a tawaf, 7 circuits around the Kaaba. With that, the official duty of the pilgrimage has been fulfilled. Each pilgrim can now be called Haji or El Hajj, one who has made the pilgrimage. Something accomplished by millions, but still only a fraction of all Muslims. The pilgrims will return home to much rejoicing. For many, the Hajj has been the only journey of their lives beyond their native villages. But whatever part of the world they are from, each pilgrim goes home secure in the knowledge that he will not die with this obligation to Allah unfulfilled. Those who have experienced the Hajj speak of a spiritual fulfillment, heightened by the unity of their faith and brotherhood. Taking back with them water from the well of Zamzam, each pilgrim also carries home an enduring truth, newly reinforced. Poor or rich, ruler or ruled, man or woman, all are equal in the eyes of God.
That's our report tonight. We'll be back with another tomorrow. I'm Mark Johnson. Good night.
The funding for this program is provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and the Friends of 4, 10, and 12.